What How's it going, Andrew?
Good. How about yourself?
Good. Hey, Paul.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Connie.
How's everybody?
Good. How about
Good.
yourself?
Good morning, everybody.
Hey, Samantha. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well.
Hey, Greg, maybe real quick before everybody jumps on. The fall meeting, were we going to have a Teams live version available like we've had in the past? A video?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I can't travel that week, but I was hoping to join live.
Okay. I'll make note of that. Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have our Aurora rep is going to be able to make it out in person.
Okay. Yeah. So they'll be there for their Aurora meeting and then the joint meeting on the Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can join. I got time during the day. I got to be home in the evenings that week.
Okay. Understood. Yep. No, we'll have that available, and as good as it is, but it's certainly, yeah, good enough to get your feedback and for you to listen in and see a warped view of our room through the meeting owl.
Okay.
Hey, Sheila, how are you?
I'm good. I'm happy it's Friday.
Sorry I just sent you an email a few minutes ago, and I apologize for the confusion. I gave you this super long answer with all these things in it, and then I looked again at it. I didn't delete the email because I wanted to hold on to it.
You cut out when
Answered the wrong question. So
okay. I missed what you were saying because you cut out right when I think they started recording, but
Oh, is that what it was? Yeah, I thought it was saying participants were waiting. Yeah, no, anyway, so the point is I answered the wrong question yesterday.
Oh.
Realized that and then responded correctly, hopefully today. But it was also information that was kind of needed for MnDOT anyway, the answer I gave you yesterday. So
okay.
And if you ever want to talk about any of that, and again, there's time for those things to happen. And some of those things don't even need to happen. It's just, if you can, that's great. If you can't, it's understood. Don't put pressure on yourself. We'll make it all work out. It'll be just fine. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I know you got things going on over there. That's for sure.
You don't even know.
Lots of cats to herd. All right. So I see we got Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Carolyn is
Hey,
having
I'm
troubles getting on for whatever reason.
Sometimes just using the browser instead of Teams is a better solution to that.
Okay. I said, try your phone.
Oh.
There is probably a call-in option. Oh, there she is. Yay.
There we go. Yeah, normally I set this up so that I don't, and I'm pretty sure I did with this one, I don't need to admit people individually or whatever, but it's making me do it for every person that jumps in the meeting room or the waiting room. Okay, so anyway, I was going to say, I got an email or a text message, from Scott Simons from Maryland this morning, the project chair, and he said that he has come down with COVID. unfortunately, and is in bed today. And I was like, geez, I thought we were done with that. Clearly not. So anyway, so he's like, could you just keep the meeting running for me? So yeah, of course, we were gonna do it anyway. I think we had to reschedule this one, if I'm not mistaken. So we do want to get this done. But the point is we're already recording this. I'm going to actually post this recording. I don't usually do that unless somebody requests it, but I am going to post the recording on the members page for our Clear Roads members to view. I asked that the research team, as usual, takes notes so that we have meeting notes after the meeting that I can share with them as well. But the main thing, and we'll get into this, Andrew's going to get into this, and the main thing here is the literature review. We want to get comments on that if we can, but like the survey questions are kind of the most important thing right now, because before we get that survey put out, we want to make sure that, you know, we're asking the right questions, and everyone has time to sort of, you know, give their feedback on that, think about those questions, make sure we're getting the right information back. So we'll talk about this, as you probably saw in the meeting agenda that Andrew shared with me and I shared with you just a little while ago. We'll talk about the timeline a little bit, and I think we need to give just enough time for those who are not here, particularly Scott, an opportunity to review and comment on those survey questions. So anyway, so I will shut myself up, hand it over to Andrew. And Andrew, if you want to share your screen at all, go right ahead. And let Matthew in, and we're off and running.
Sounds good. I will share my screen just for a minute or two to bring up the agenda that I had sent in and we had published about a half an hour, 45 minutes ago. Just kind of showing what we wanted to talk about today. Can you
make that a little larger, Andrew? I know everyone's got it, but in case they don't have it pulled up. Excellent.
There we go. Yep. So kind of the important things we need to talk about today is task 2 and task 3. Task 2, we have a final submission in for full review. Task 3, we have some questions about what do you want to see from the survey? Again, keeping in mind that we want to keep it as short of a survey as we can to get the information, because that garners better response rates. And then also discussion on task 4. We've just kind of been getting pushed back by the survey needing to go out and needing those sorts of things. And per the proposal, we had an August 31st date discussions on that. So first of all, I'm going to have the research team here. 4 of us are on this. I'll have us introduce ourselves. I'm Andrew Rookie. I'm with the University of Minnesota Center for Transportation Studies. I am also the director of Minnesota LTAP. I am the primary investigator on this project, and I will pass it over to John from CTS.
Hello, everybody. John Sigland. I'm the Communications Director at the Center for Transportation Studies, supporting Andrew on this effort.
Connie?
Morning, Connie Fortin, low salt strategist with Bolton and Mink, and I'll be sort of a project advisor.
Carolyn?
Hi, Carolyn Dindorf. I'm also with Bolton and Mink. I'm the supervisor of our science and chloride reduction team, and we'll be doing a lot of the work with the technical side of things.
And let's have Greg. Why don't you introduce, and then we'll kind of go through my
Sure.
screen.
Okay, sounds good. So my name is Greg Wadley. I'm the Clear Roads Administrator with CTC and Associates. And then Scott Simons, of course, can't be here today. He's the project chair with Maryland Department of Transportation. And then if I'm just kind of going down my list, let's hear alphabetically, folks that are from the project team or designees from the project team. Sometimes I don't recognize the name. So I think the first one is Cameron.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Awesome.
Sure
Yeah,
can.
sorry I can't turn on my camera. For some reason it says it's disabled. I usually would turn it
Yeah.
on, but I'm glad you can at least hear me. So yeah, I'm Cameron Arnstein. I joined Maryland Department of the Environment's Water and Science Administration as a natural resources planner at the end of June. And in this position, I'll be coordinating Maryland's de-icing salt reduction strategy. And I'm attending this meeting today for Greg Sandy from Maryland Department of the Environment. So yeah, I'm excited to listen in on the conversation today.
Great. Thank you. Samantha?
Hi, everybody. My name is Samantha Kennelly. I am from the state of New Jersey. I am the head of the Winter Operations Unit, and I am also the head of the training department. So I'm just representing New Jersey and excited to hear what is all going on with the salt.
All right. Next one on my list, going down here to Sheila.
Good morning. It's still morning. I'm Sheila Johnson, Assistant State Maintenance Engineer at MnDOT. And I am going to be one of a few faces you might see over the course as we try and fill in behind Tom Peters, who retired on July 8th.
Okay, thanks. Mike?
Hi, Mike Madison. I'm the winter maintenance engineer for Nebraska and the co-chair of this project. Sheila, nice to see you. Hope that Tom is enjoying his retirement and you are enjoying taking over all of his responsibilities.
I'll be
All
happy to
right.
help.
Sorry, Matthew?
Hi, this is Matt Willett. I'm a deputy chief engineer in the maintenance division for Rhode Island DOT.
All right, Paul?
Good morning. I'm Paul Dinkler, maintenance liaison with MoDOT Central Office Maintenance. And my role is oversee our winter operations, which certainly involves how we manage our salt. So good project.
All right. And finally, last but not least, Ryan.
Ryan Sod, MnDOT Office of Maintenance Research. I worked for Tom, so between Sheila and I and Joe, I think we're trying to pick up the slack until things get decided.
All right, great. Well, I think that's everybody on the project subcommittee side.
Perfect. I'll stop sharing my screen and just we'll just start walking through the literature review. Has anybody, do I need to bring up the literature review? It's obviously a multi-page document. I guess the big question is, has this group had a chance to review it yet? Are there any immediate pieces of feedback? If not, or if you haven't had a chance to review, when is a likely timeline for this committee to get through reviewing the sources that we have, and that way we can just continue moving forward?
So I'm going to jump in and just speak partially for the group, and certainly they can add in any individual responses they want. I think, so I probably, it was my fault not preparing you properly, but I think it's always best just to kind of come in these with a quick sort of, summarization of your findings. You don't have to necessarily go through the lit review itself, but if you want to put them in like a PowerPoint in the future, that would be great. But I also think because Scott is not on the line and he's the chair of the committee, that I would, even if everybody else had finished their review, I would say giving another week maybe just for the literature review part of this. So until next Friday, assuming everybody else has either done it or will feel comfortable trying to get their review done by then. Literature reviews just for the project subcommittee as well. Not to say that you shouldn't read it thoroughly, because you should, but at the same time, the literature review kind of is what the literature review is. That's the stuff that was out there. So it's helpful to know what's in there, but there's rarely any comments on the literature review other than if they, the research team just really made it hard to understand, which is, I don't think I've ever seen that before. So anyway, so that's kind of my comments on this. and others feel free from the project subcommittee to jump in and provide your thoughts.
Yeah, Andrew, maybe just back up a step, just say, what are the topics
Yep.
that we
Yep.
did, so people understand it, in case they,
Yep. We did a preliminary review of, you know, some of the topics that were requested, general application rates, environmental awareness and protection, material abrasives and deicers, balancing act. Those were kind of the main search terms that we looked through. We compiled a bunch of both regional and national sources from both academic journals and, you know, YouTube videos, those sorts of things. We came up with about 45 or 50 different resources that we've built into a chart breaking down, you know, just where they're from, what information they provide, and what kind of formats they are. They're all linked within the document. So if you want to go through and click through and see every piece of information and read through it, you're certainly welcome to. But the big thing that was that we did also was targeting which audiences. So contractors, property managers, landowners, homeowners. Those were the top. Those were really where we looked through and made sure these are the audience we think are affected or would be best to use this information to target for additional module, additional training and instruction. So,
and
like I
what
said,
about anything with like a gap analysis? Like we just didn't find anything for a certain audience in a certain area.
As far as I'm aware, we found at least something for every audience and every topic throughout the whole thing. There were, you know, several journal articles that dove deeper into some of the more recent research that would be of interest to develop further development for us too. So. John, any further comments?
I might just add that the lit review then has there's kind of two forks from it. One is to help develop the as Connie talked about, the gaps that this group identifies as things that we need to incorporate into those modules or things that we want to bring forward and highlight for this effort. And the second thing is, as we develop this website, this will just be this will be a list of links, or as we establish the ones that we find to be most valuable, we can help to bring those forward to augment the information that we're providing, the original information we're providing firsthand on the website.
So I went through the spreadsheet, and admittedly I didn't connect to any of the links. You know, I got a warning sign, and so I just paused on that. But what I really appreciated was the listing of the views when you had access to that, because it really showed what pieces had better connection to the population.
You know, Andrew or John, maybe you even want to throw the files into the chat if people don't already have them.
Well, Greg provided a link on their member side, so it is on their website and available for them.
Everybody has.
Right. I don't, our side of it, I don't believe we've made it publicly available. It's only available to the research team, which then we provided that to Greg.
Well, I guess the question would be to everybody in the room, does everybody have access to it? Or do they need help?
I think I have access.
Okay.
We just have very high security with our IT folks, and so I think I paused. I'll maybe try one again, probably YouTube.
Yeah, you know, and I'm sorry, I was talking without my mute on. So as Andrew said, I put it on the Clear Roads members page, which is, you know, behind a password. And I do that mainly because if I start sending out emails with attachments, eventually it's not going to break through somebody's IT firewall there. They're not going to let them in. So I just put it, and that way everyone, all our Clear Roads members get used to going to the website and to the members page and seeing all the resources there. So it's sort of a dual purpose. But I just did a quick myself. Now I'm not, coming in from a network that is, a large agency network or anything like that. So I just clicked on IDB, which is the Minnesota Stormwater Manual on Wiki, and just did the quick click on the webpage link there, and it took me to the right one. So I haven't gone through and checked the others, but yeah, it could also be just and there's this. Anyway, it could also just be the agencies, blocking certain addresses, but I don't.
And I
I'm
will
not experiencing
say that the journal articles, that the other topics at the bottom that aren't included in the main matrix is those are academic journals. They probably are paywalled. Since we have a university account, we were able to look through those and actually go through them. So those may be very difficult for you to access. However, they are something that we will look at incorporating into our narratives.
And if there's any member that has a specific reason to want to read those, would it be all right to reach out to you guys and have you provide them the article?
Yep.
Okay. So a question I had was, as you went through this lit search and created this, do you see any, so obviously there was content out there that was created for, it sounds like, each audience in each topic area. Do you see any of that content potentially replacing or being repackaged to replace or to, instead of creating original content?
That's a question to this TAC is, how much do we want to repackage? Because again, we're building a website where we can put in links and those sorts of things. A lot of these YouTube videos could be something that we possibly look at directly embedding or linking to. I think that's going to be one thing we need to walk through on every module is what do we want to repackage and repurpose, and what information, obviously we're going to be compiling new information and creating new information. But what else, some of these are original sources. Some of them are, very well produced videos that we don't have the budget to, recreate or build videos for this. So what does it doesn't have to be answered today, but one of the continuing questions we need to have, especially in task 4, where we're building that draft module, what do you want to see repackaged, relinked, those sorts of things?
And I think that makes a lot of sense because at this point in time, it's just hard to imagine what you would want as original, what you would want, or if the content that you found would actually do a good job of replacing it. So until we get to that module and start to see it come together, that's when I think you're really going to have, they're going to have an opinion on that kind of thing. Oh gosh, there was one other thing I was going to say, but I'm going to turn it over to Carolyn while I'm thinking about that.
I just wanted to add that I think in order to stay within the budget, we will have to rely on other resources if we feel they're up to date and accurate, as well as having some custom content. Especially there will be introduction and explanation of what these resources are before we would link to them too. But we'll definitely need to rely on some of those sources in order to stay in budget on the project.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And then the other thing I was going to say is, of course, when you do use content from somewhere else, you're always running the risk that they just pull it down. and don't supply it anymore, then you just lost that part of your, your content because you're relying on them. So I guess that'll be something we will have to evaluate as we go along, saying what's the likelihood of this kind of thing going away? Does it look more established? Does it look more, is it one of those things that's probably not affected as time goes on as much, so it's more likely to stay, or is it something that can become outdated and they might be likely to replace it? And again, I guess this sort of brings back then, and that makes me think of another question. One of the things we brought up in the early stages of this was, is this something you guys are going to host? Is this something that Clear Roads needs to host? And obviously, because CTS is such University of Minnesota is such an established transportation center, and they've got a really comprehensive and high quality website with training materials and things like that. Is that something that if we lost a link, or let's say we were relying on some other organization that was providing a particular piece of content, and then they actually updated it, but for some reason changed the link on it, would you guys go through, and would that be some maintenance type thing that you would do, or would it, because you're out of contract, would that be something you don't do anymore?
I can field that one, Greg. So part of what we proposed here is by hosting sort of this, we'll call a mini site on the LTAP website, this will allow us to continue to tend that site after this contract is over, just like we do the content on the LTAP site. So we'll continue to promote it through that program and continue to maintain the content then within the context of our overall plan and budget for that website.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else from the project subcommittee have thoughts on what they may have reviewed to this point of the lit search?
Yeah, just a quick comment. There's an amazingly large amount of material on this topic. It looked like you went through the alphabet twice on it, so that's somewhere in the vicinity of 50 different sources of information. So there's a lot there. Obviously, it's not something you're starting from scratch on. I think that's good. And also, I was thinking as you were talking about hosting it on the LTAP site and updating it there and things. That was something that during the original proposal, when we were evaluating, I thought that could be a really good thing. That somebody's going to take care of this, host it, kind of keep it alive. Because that's what so often happens is things get out of date and, they don't really work anymore and then nobody uses them. So glad to hear that. And there's just a huge amount of material available there for you to work with.
Yeah, curating is going to be fun.
Good problem to have, I would say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you can certainly send any feedback directly to me. I believe Greg has my email address listed on there. And we can work forward. We'll maybe publish that review date of end of business next Friday, which is the 25th of July, for review on it.
So really quick, does just two things. One, for those from the project subcommittee, they're on the call right now. Does that seem like a reasonable, I threw that out there before without actually consulting you. Is that a reasonable due date for the comments on the lit search next Friday?
Fine with me.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
And if I don't hear from everybody, I mean, it's just kind of like, so silence is compliance kind of thing. So if we get to the end of the day, but I'll try and send out a reminder. But otherwise, we'll just kind of go with whatever we have by that time. I'll let Scott know as well. The other thing I was going to say, oh my gosh. Why do I keep doing this? I come up with two things and I forget one of them. Oh, for crying out loud. All right, let's just move on, and if I think of it, I'll bring it up later, put it in the chat.
Sounds good. Another thing, so the next portion of the project is task 3, which is a survey to AASHTO members, and then anybody else that the TAC wants us to send it to. We certainly can include them in the distribution. What we're going to use is we're going to, I sent Greg a pretty basic Word document just listing out proposed questions, and then if there's, you know, specific topics that what we want to ask within the questions, if they're not open-ended, if they have multiple choices, these would be, or ranked choices, this is kind of what we'd be looking for. We're going to build this survey into Qualtrics, which is what the university uses for surveying, and it'll be just a distributed link that people can send and fill out, and we'll just have information that we're gathering. And one of the big things we'll be asking is, you know, if we can follow up with people, we will be willing to follow up with some if there are interesting specific survey results from certain states or certain entities, we will definitely have in the budget to follow up with a few of them more in depth to get what they want to see out of this project. So, Greg, do you want me to, I've got the survey questions up. You want me to pull those up?
Yeah, I was actually just kind of looking at those again as you were talking. I think because it's fairly short, that would be a good thing to actually go over specifically during this call, because it is so important to not just, you know, provide feedback on it, but kind of hear you talk through it and your reasoning for these questions and such. And then, yeah, to give folks time to think through it as you present it, and maybe they'll actually have comments as we go. And
okay, well,
can you make it just a stitch bigger, just a little bit more? There you go. That's cool. Thanks.
All right. So this is the proposed survey. We've sent it to Greg. It is on your members area. So we will go through and rebuild these questions into Qualtrics. And there's going to be kind of, you know, breaks within it. So the first 3 questions proposed to be on the same kind of page. It's just more of the demographic information of what state are you in, what organization are you with, what's your role, how long have you been there. And then we'll have another page that they click over to, and we'll ask, this is where we're really going to start asking them the hard questions right away. Preferred method of online learning. And so we're going to have a 1 through 5 ranking for all of these, and we'll just see where people rank each one of these things, text or narrative, short video, medium video, long video, and have these definitions available, infographics or fact sheets. The videos are going to be difficult for us to build within the budget if those are super popular. However, in our literature review, we did find several videos amongst these certain lengths, and so we can definitely use those as links for that sort of thing. So the question will be to see what people would prefer for us to create, not necessarily as original information, but as part of the modules. These are the next 2 questions will be on the next page. And we would ask, again, should there be a certificate of completion? We can kind of build a online form that would kick out, you know, your name, and then you've completed this course at the end of some of these modules, if that is something people would want. And then also with that, would there need to be a quiz built for these sort of things? Again, something we can build on the website as part of the module as kind of a knowledge check. Something we do quite regularly with our courses at LTAP. And then we would go to a next page. Again, we'll do the 1 through 5 importance. And we'll have a whole pile of topics that they can rank and then also in other if they want to add a topic. And the general thought will be whatever topic comes in highest ranked, or if there's not a clear highest, maybe we make an executive decision and build a module based on timelines to build the draft module. And with that topic, we'll start building a draft module and then present it to the TAC for review on, hey, this is our idea for it, application rates discussion for homeowners, both the target audience and the topic. And that will be part of the module discussion or the preliminary module discussion. And so hopefully one of these comes out clearly as the top. It might be a jumbled mess and we may have to work through internally on what to do, but we'll go from there. And then we have 2 more questions to ask for additional resources. We may think we've gotten everything, but we're always willing to hear more from the literature review from people if they have other resources that they think are very useful for the target demographics. And then also contact information for if they'd like us to possibly contact them if we wanted to see what the training resources they provided or any other interesting feedback we see. So those are kind of, we want to make it short. We want to make it a 5 to 10 minute survey, which gives you a chance to do maximum 10 to 12 questions. So we're at 9. We can maybe add another question, but we also, with a lot of these ranking ones, especially, question 7, where they're ranking the topics, that is going to be time consuming. So they are longer questions to answer. Any questions, any additional thoughts right away?
As far as ranking the topics, is there a limit to when that's a long list. So it seems, I'm just wondering if there's maybe a guidance of where you should cap it.
John, you?
For that kind of question.
I was just going to weigh in and suggest that, it's a very good point that you limit it to 5 or so would be the best way to go, I think.
And yeah, and I'm not sure, are we ranking it like a weight of 1 to 5, or are we trying to rank them in priority of the whole group? Because if it's the whole group, then I'd want to probably see less. But if we're just doing a scale of 1 to 5 for each item, maybe that's the way to not limit the topics.
Yeah, and I guess that was a question that I want, we need to answer this is, do we want to limit it to 5 topics? As you can see, we have more than 5, and we can have them rank it 1 through 5 on their importance, and we should see 1 come up, but then we are limiting what topics we cover, where if we do a 1 through 5 in importance, we may see, 1 or 2 topics come out with 4.5 consensus. Yes, John.
I was just going to make the point that, either way, what we would end up having would be a quantifiable list that would give us guidance on where are the items that we have to place the most importance sort of by cohort, right? So I think that's that at the end of the day, that whether we did it with the ranking 1 to 5 each question or have everybody to rank their top 5, we would imagine some version of that would come out. Not going to satisfy a statistician, but it would be, I think, enough for what we would be looking for for relative weights.
So I would imagine that probably all of those topics are going to find their way into the product, but it would be a matter of what the emphasis is. I look at everything in there and I see, well, there's, some of these are probably, I would say, are more important than others, but there's probably nothing in there that I would think that you just would eliminate. So if you're looking to simply get, what those top priorities are, probably just about any method you use is going to work to get there.
And when you say that, because obviously, Mike, they have a limited budget here, but what you're probably suggesting is that some of these may be falling in within some of these categories may be falling in underneath another category, like,
Well, right, yeah.
creating
So
a
environmental
winter maintenance
awareness.
plan and calibration of equipment are probably going to fall, come together in some kind of module content.
Yeah, chloride pollution, for instance, can fall into a lot of, there's just a lot of overlap between them. And that's kind of what I was saying, is that some of these things will probably get mentioned as part of another topic, even if they don't rise to the occasion.
Yep. And the other thing I was going to say too, so my thoughts on how to rank, I think taking all these and trying to rank them 1 through whatever 12 or however many there are here would be a little cumbersome and difficult maybe to do. I think I like the idea that Sheila had of ranking, sort of rating each one 1 to 5, 5 being most needed by your agency, 1 being the least most, perhaps. And I would also suggest that when you build this into would you say you're going to use Qualtrics?
Yes.
Okay. When you build this into the Qualtrics environment, I would recommend not just listing them like you've got them here, but I would actually say putting maybe a sentence or 2 after the ones that might need it to provide a little bit more explanation of what you're talking about here, because there's several of these, several of them are pretty self-explanatory. Like, I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Other ones, I'm like, it could be like economics, general, like, what are we talking about there? So I think maybe a little bit of a sentence or 2 on each one as you rank them gives them better understanding of what they're actually rating. And I guess I wouldn't say rating. So that's my thoughts.
A question on possibilities for that. I sometimes, and if you allow people to choose 1 through 5 on every one there, it tends to water things down, I think, to where you don't really, I'd be inclined to say, pick your top 5 out of there, whether you want to rank them 1 through 5 or just say, here are the ones I think are most important, and then see which ones add up. You're probably going to have enough responses that you'll get, a spectrum of, but if there's certain ones that nobody puts in their top 5, they're probably not that important. And if everybody's got them in the top 5, those are probably the ones that folks really are most interested in. Just a thought that I have on it.
That's a good point, because we do the same 1 through 5 rating system for selecting clear roads projects every spring. And in the past, we've gotten a lot of 3s. And so we had to really emphasize the last couple of years, and it's worked. When you're in person, it's easier to do that. But when you, and you get, some real opinions on certain ideas, but yeah, when you're distributing a survey online, it's hard to convince people of that need to not go 3s across the board because they're trying to be nice.
And honestly, Greg, and this is, maybe just from being through it a few times, is on those rankings, I'd give myself a choice of a 1 or a 5. I'm either all in or I'm all out. And because if you don't do it that way, if it was just me voting and nobody else, I'd want to rank them a lot more carefully. But when you got a whole group of folks, I think that it tends to get what the priorities are when it's more binary than, either this is high or it's low, period.
Okay, we can definitely switch this to choose the top 5. That will give us a clear list of importance, and if there's a topic that does not make anybody's top 5 of all the surveys, then like you said, Mike, we can definitely not prioritize it and let it
Yeah.
maybe drop off the overall list of topics.
Can I ask it? I've got another thing too. I don't see any hands raised right now. Keep going back to sort of the 30,000 foot view of this and what we're trying to accomplish. This is obviously not training modules for state agencies. This is for non-DOT end users. So is there going to be, I mean, I know we're going to be sending this out via the Snow and Ice listserv, which would get to a lot of municipalities that are parts of that listserv. And I think that's the only way that we're actually reaching those folks. But I guess my question would be, is there not to belittle the responses of the larger state agencies, but do we want to weight the responses of the municipalities higher? Or is there a way to make sure that we're getting them what they, or the private sector, if there's even a way to get the survey to them, is there a way to make sure that they're getting what they need as opposed to state agencies thinking we think we know what they need, that kind of thing?
I think that's the $1 million question.
And I say that very
yeah.
respectfully to my clients who I'm representing here today that are all state agencies and paying for this project. So
I think the big thing is the question that we need to really ask this TAC is any other listservs or groups that you think that this should be sent to target. Would be, like I said, it'll be a web link that anybody can use. And so just finding a target audience to send this to would be exactly what we're looking for. John, I think you can further elaborate.
Yeah, I'm just coming back on the balance here. So if we were writing this for your quote unquote man on the street, these questions would look very different, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that my thought in the path that I've been on here is that let us presume that the DOT users have the most direct experience on this. The experience they have is going to lead to these other groups. And probably the best guess that we have within the scope and budget of this project is to start there and just kind of fan out. That's kind of where I come down on it. And I think that we'll be very close, in a worst case scenario, pretty close.
So, and I think on things like this, what you get are opinions, and those vary from one person to another, regardless of what their, what agency they're affiliated with. You ask me and asked 3 other people in the operations division, let alone in the districts in my state, you're going to get different answers to this. And it all kind of depends on, personal experience and I guess what our personal thoughts are. So it's important, but I'm not sure how important it is. So long as you get some good feedback on it. I think that people kind of know what's important, and clearly a guy like me, I can watch and I can imagine what people are doing in parking lots. I've been around several years. So other folks that are closer to it might say, this is what people really need to know.
I also put in the chat box, I put a reference to APWA. We use them at times as well. And this, I think for this project, they'd be of particular importance to send it out through them. And we've got a liaison, APWA liaison within Clear Roads, one of our partners, Kevin Hensley. So that might be another. Between Clear Roads, Snow and Ice listserv, and APWA, I think we have it covered.
Okay.
And Carolyn had her hands up.
Yeah, I think it'll be important that the introduction maybe is expanded to really explain the purpose of this so that they don't think they're answering it for them, that they really understand. And it looks like something's missing there. I didn't notice that until now.
Yeah, there
Uh,
was something.
Yeah, the contractors is missing there, so that it's not about what they need for their, but what's appropriate education for the homeowners, property managers, and contractors, so that it can help the DOTs also with being able to get that information out. So maybe there's less pressure on them to, thinking that they're the ones causing any environmental problems. So I think that intro, maybe we need to expand on that a little bit.
That's a good point. My wife went out to buy some de-icing material for a sidewalk in a small town where she has some property. And she was basically going to get the most expensive stuff she could get, which was mag chloride, I think might have been even had calcium in it, and have some boys that she's got hired up there to clear the walks to put this down to prevent, ice buildup. And I had to explain to her that if she has these boys putting down large quantities of a mag or calcium chloride, but it's probably especially mag, that it might make it slipperier once, if it's what's left over there can make it slick. Don't do that. And I talked her into just getting some rock salt. It's not the best, it's not good for everything, but it doesn't have that problem for somebody who doesn't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
So there are things like that.
And
Right.
they're probably
there
likely
you
to
go.
over
That's
apply, the kids.
Yeah. And there's a perfect example of a state agency with the knowledge and experience telling the folks that don't have the same knowledge and experience, this is what you probably do need to know. So thank you for helping make that point too, Mike.
Well, we'll continue to take feedback from the TAC on this. Do we want to make the same, next Friday deadline for this for feedback? That way we can get this out and distributed in early August, give 2 to 3 weeks for responses, hopefully get enough feedback by the end of August that we can start walking our way through. Is that a fair ask?
So here's the thing. I think we're going to end up pushing that just a little bit, not because we necessarily need more time to review it. With doing the lit search by next Friday as well and everything else they got on the plate, I'd be open to, an additional week for that. But I would say that for almost all of our Clear Road projects, before we send out a survey, especially when you're building it onto an online format, always like to be able to share that, do a quick beta test with a group to make sure that when they click through, it all works okay for them. It's, for those folks that didn't build it, it makes sense to them. And so sort of that, that third party view or whatever.
Yep.
So anyway, after you build it, if you give another week for us to sort of test it out, make sure it all works the way we would expect it to work, then send it out. So that's kind of what I was thinking. So with that being said, what does the rest of the subcommittee think on just, do you need more time? Well, maybe do you even need more time for comments, or would you just like to see it? No, let me take that back. Yeah, I think we do want more time for comments on the actual questions because it's harder to change it in the Qualtrics environment. So is next Friday okay for this as well before they start putting it into the online environment?
I'm gone next Thursday and Friday, so it'll be Wednesday for me.
Okay. So you're going to be able to get it done by Wednesday. You be all right with that?
Sure.
Okay. Everybody else, the end of next week, okay?
Yeah, Greg, I think that'd be fine.
Works for me.
Okay. And of course, this is also considering, okay, thank you, Sheila, for the thumbs up. This is also considering that Scott, Simon's project chair, who's down with COVID right now, and I don't know when he's going to be okay to do anything, and then he's going to have to catch up on everything. As a project chair, I always try to, and Mike as the co-chair, I always try to give those guys and a special considerations and things like that. So let me, it sounds like next Friday is okay for both, but let me check with Scott and see what he has to say about that. And then I'll confirm with the group. Oh, I know what I was going to say too about the lit search. It just kind of came to me. When you guys provide, if you provide any feedback or comments on the lit search or on this, or on the survey questions, please reply all. Don't just send them to Andrew, reply to everybody. I know that's, you know, when we send it out to the full TAC, we try not to do that because it clutters everybody's inbox. But I think when it comes to project level stuff, I think it makes a lot of sense for everyone to see your comments so that they can also build up. Because otherwise I'm having to reshare and, you know, figure out who needs to see what. I think it's better that everyone sees it and can agree to it or say, well, what about if we tweak it, you know, take that comment you just made and tweak it a little bit. It's better for discussion that way. So just reply all to these, to this group and through my email that I sent out earlier, maybe with just like the, with the agenda. All right, is there anything else on that agenda that I don't have it pulled up right now that we need to cover?
Last thing we did have is task 4 timeline. Kind of continuing this discussion of, you know, well, one thing is our next steps, but we've already kind of had that discussion. You know, on the proposal, we had an August 31st completion date for task 4. Right now it's trending that we're not going to be done with task 3 until probably August 31st at this point, which doesn't give us any time to build a draft module. We had 2 months in the original proposal to build the draft module, which would put a amended draft date of October 31st. Is that something that, again, Greg and I can work through any contract information we need to do, any contract updates we need to do, but is that something that this TAC is okay with? Is us continuing the 2 months after we complete the survey, we will build a draft module?
Yeah, so thank you. Yeah, so I, just for everyone's knowledge, the task 2 is the lit review, task 3 is the survey, task 4 is the draft module. And then after we do a single draft module and everyone's happy with the way that looks, then we go on to just doing the rest of the remaining modules. And so, yeah, so right now the lit search is due, or excuse me, the survey responses or the analysis, whatever, the memo that summarizes that is due August 31. I'm thinking that's, I mean, you know how it goes. And even when CTC does surveys, we give an initial timeline that's not too long because we know that we're not going to get all the responses we need and we'll need to send out a reminder. So I think 2 to 3 weeks is at least what it's going to take to get you what you want for that. So depending on how long it takes to summarize those, I think the end of August is a little ambitious, so
right.
That might extend a little bit. Yeah, and then just I don't know, if you think you can get done the training module within a month after that, or even if it's just the end of October, I think that's fine too. The other thing to consider here is sometimes like these kinds of projects that Clear Road's done in the past, we're definitely seeing it with the public service announcement library. We've seen it in the past when we did the previous project that created training modules, or a couple projects that, well, actually one of them we went really fast on. But my point is that there usually is a lot more eyes, you know, taking time to review the modules and really think through this stuff in several iterations. So just understand that, not that I'm anticipating necessarily or looking for an extension on this one, but if we did have one, it's not something that the research team, you guys need to worry about. That's probably on us, just making sure we want to have all eyes on it and have plenty of time to think about it and even, you know, ask questions and come back together with you guys several meetings. Usually these kinds of projects have more meetings than some of the other projects do, just sort of work through, what, everyone's thoughts on it. So, anyway, I think maybe we'll just leave them as like the dates are right now as they are, and just see where we end up going with this. If we need to, if it gets too out of hand, like we start getting too far beyond these dates, then if it's just a, you can make it up in the developing the remaining modules, then we just do a letter to file, which is an actual amendment, but less signatures. And to the state of Minnesota, and then that might be fine. And if we get near the end of the project and we're going, no, we're going to need more time on this, then we'll just go ahead and process an actual amendment to extend the project. So at this point in time, I think we just go through with the timeline we have right now, doing our best to stick to it. But if we go beyond it, that's just the way it goes. And Carolyn had something.
Yeah, actually, it was on the previous topic. I'm thinking back on the comment of adding 1 or 2 sentence explanation to the topics. Do we need to do that like really quick, and so you can get that out for the review for next Friday? Or are we okay with it as is for now?
Would you like to review, would the TAC like to review the 1 to 2 sentences we build for each one of these topics, or is it something that we can build into the beta test and go from Qualtrics that way?
I think so, because I think once you got, it's changing the format in Qualtrics is a little bit more of a pain than it is just rewriting a sentence. So I think that, allowing them to review those sentences as part of their beta test is probably fine. Would you agree with that? It's not too much of a pain for you guys to rewrite a sentence or tweak a sentence. Fine. Okay.
You are correct. It is a lot easier to change the content within a question than the actual question.
Yeah. That way it's not going to hold you guys up another week or something, or whatever it takes, or a couple days. That's fine. All right. I think that's everything, isn't it?
Yes. And right on time.
Okay. Oh yeah, look at that. How about that? Good deal. All right. Well, before we sign off, is there anything that the subcommittee wants to bring up, talk about before that we didn't cover today?
Oh, doing good.
Now, I just want to say thank you all. I think we're off to a really good start here. Look forward to seeing this survey go forward and see what's next. Very, very impressive lit review.
I'll give all the credit to our to CTS's librarian for that, by the way. So
very good.
It's good to have that kind of talent on staff. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time. Have a great weekend, and we'll look forward to the next steps.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then,
bye.
Andrew. Okay. Andrew, you still there?
Yep.
Are you you'll send me like the meeting notes then, right? At some point.
Yeah, John was taking notes and I was trying to tap out some also when I was not sharing my screen.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep,
right.
we'll compile something. I'm out of town on Sunday through Thursday, so you may not see anything until Friday next week.
Okay. Gotcha.
So next week is our next week is our national LTAP conference. So
oh, okay. Where are you guys going for that?
Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay. Are you in, was that Overland Park? Is that where that is?
We'll be in the downtown Kansas City area.
Oh, you're downtown. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Cool. All right. Well, enjoy that.
Yep.
And yeah, I think so. What I'll do, and I may not because of Scott's condition, I probably, obviously I want to get his feedback on the timeline. So by the time I actually get something from him and send it to you and that you get a chance to read it, it'll be the original due date that we talked about. So if we need to give an extra week, we'll give an extra week. If not, you'll have what you have and
Yep.
ready to review by Friday. So,
Perfect.
okay,
Sounds good.
good deal.
All right.
Well, safe travels.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.
We'll see you.